Speaking of the police department, over the past few years, we've dealt with a shortage in the number of police officers in Corpus Christi. At a city budget workshop 3 years ago, Corpus Christi Police Chief Marco said he believed the department was 125 officers short of where it needed to be. Last year, the Corpus Christi City Council voted to add 25 officers to the police force over the next 5 years. That's not the 125 officers that Chief Marco said he needed. Mayor Macomb, what would you do to at least get to that number?
Well, we've implemented that plan, and we've 2 years already have added 10 additional officers, as was adopted by the council. This year we'll add an additional 5, and in the next 2 years that plan will continue to do that. We will also continue their training, improving their equipment, being smarter and more effective with the information and the technology that we have today that supplements those police officers. And so one thing we also need to remember is that there's a whole lot more law enforcement in Corpus Christi than there was 20 years ago. Almost every ISD has a police force now. The Port of Corpus Christi has a police force now. We've got the constables. So the citizens of Corpus Christi are paying a tremendous amount of money for public protection, and I think they're getting a pretty good bang for their buck. Could we do better? Sure, you can always do better, and we're going to strive to do that. But at the same time, you have to have a balancing act, but you do have to come in with this, the technology and the interest. But we are making strides on that, and we are adding police officers to the question of how many, and that's a debatable issue between whoever you talk to says we have enough or we don't have enough. But the police chief guides the city manager in his recommendations, and we as a council listen to that recommendation and then we act on it. I'll be able to address some of the mistaken statements that she made a moment ago about voting for police in a while.
Thank you, Mayor Macomb. Councilwoman Guajardo, same question for you. How would you address the shortage, the need for more police officers?
Simply, you prioritize it. And if I don't know what else is more real than the chief of police telling us the shortage we have in his department. So there's no way around this. And I appreciate your homework. I appreciate those numbers that you gave us, the 126 police officers that we are short, that Chief Markle mentioned. We have on average 20 police officers who retire each year. So hiring 5 police officers a year is not going to help us grow our force. You're only replacing 5 of those 20. So we actually we've got to prioritize the issue. And that's the bottom line. You've got to look at your numbers, you got to look at your budget, you have to do it responsibly, but you have to address the issue. It isn't about what we think. Our police chief has told us, and there is something to say about being proactive in policing. Crime will go down in proactive policing. Right now, we don't have time for that. I've done ride-alongs with our police department, and it is very scary because they're constantly chasing. They're chasing the crime. There isn't time for them to do anything else but that.
Hey, let's shift gears a little bit to talk some about COVID-19. This pandemic has just done a number on tourism around here, especially during spring break in the summer. Has the industry fully recovered yet? And if not, what do we need to do and how long is it going to take? Let's start with the mayor.
Well, the industry has not recovered for a number of reasons. One, because of the pandemic, and two, we've had a bust in the oil business in terms of those prices, so that's had an impact on our tourism business as well. But the pandemic, it's shadow boxing. You don't know where it's coming from, and it's hard to hit, and it is non-discriminatory. It takes from a small child to a senior adult. It doesn't matter about their ethnicity, their gender, or anything else. We are providing as good of information as we can based on the data that's provided to us, both at the state and the national level. We're asking the public, and they've done well, to respond in terms of wearing their mask, washing their hands. We submitted first and early, and we're going to be one of the first communities that gets a vaccine when it comes. We're on the top of the list. We've lost way too many people in this pandemic. One is too many, but if you look at the numbers, we've had 95 to 97%, I think, recovery, which is good, but we'd like to have 100%, but that didn't happen. But we're going to continue to try to protect the public, keep them apprised of the best technical information we have. The first responders have just been wonderful, and the medical profession serving this community has just been outstanding. And if it weren't for those two people, those two groups of people that are doing their job, we would be a lot worse off. So we're very fortunate to have the people here dealing with this pandemic.
Madam Councilwoman, the same question to you. Can the tourism industry withstand COVID-19? Are we anywhere near recovering from it? How long it might take? And if you want to piggyback on some of the observations from the mayor, that would be fine as well.
Sure. Yes, we will. We absolutely will. We need strong leadership for that to happen. As mayor, I will create Corpus Christi Moving Forward. It's a comprehensive economic development plan for post-COVID-19 recovery that will include small businesses. Day one, I will call Governor Abbott and I will ask the governor to be my partner to create jobs for our future. We need to provide for greater job creation, developing partnerships with the private sector, working with the Convention and Visitors Bureau on a tourism industry recovery plan, continue to streamline development and permitting processes, working on partnerships with regional communities to strengthen the entire coastal bend, fortify our economic development committees, and of course working with the MPO on infrastructure development planning. As councilwoman, I created the Small Business Pandemic Relief Program. And as mayor, I will work to strengthen small business by promoting our local businesses and conducting regular meetings with them so that they have a voice, so that we can hear what they have to say and find out how can we help them. What are their thoughts on the city partnering in assisting them to come out of this?
Thank you, Councilwoman Paulette. This wraps up the first half hour of the Chris 6 News Special, the 2020 Corpus Christi Mayoral Runoff Debate. We want to remind you, you'll be able to watch this debate in its entirety on our website, christv.com. You can also watch it on our Chris 6 News app on your cell phone, Roku, the Fire Stick, or Amazon TV. If you haven't downloaded our app yet, do so quickly. Election Day is just around the corner, and we'll have the latest results right here on Chris 6.